Okay, and I think we just have a few seconds to go, so I'll just go ahead and get started and say welcome, everybody. I'm excited to see you all here with us for the spring course preview. And my name is Heather Bristow. I'm the director of OLLI at ISU. I just have a few housekeeping things that I want to go over before we get started. If everybody could mute themselves, that way we could limit the amount of distractions that we have. Hopefully my dog behaves herself and does not decide to share her 2 cents before I can mute. We do have our instructors with us today. They will give us their 90-second plugs for their classes so we know what to expect. And the recording will be posted on the website after this event. That'll either be later today or tomorrow morning, depending on how long the technology takes to render the recording. We are trying a new format this time. We have sponsors with us that have helped with our course previews and supporting our programs, and we'll sprinkle them in throughout in between the instructors now and then. So that way they'll have a little bit of variety going through the whole event instead of all at once. So we do have some changes to our courses for the spring. After the catalog was printed, we had some date changes. Let me get to those so I don't misspeak. Course number 4 and 5 is a hybrid course. It will be changed to Monday, May 5th. That is different than what is in the printed catalog. Again, course 4 and 5 will be Monday, May 5th. Course 31 and 32 will be Wednesday, May 7th. And that's the Postal Art Collage course. That will be on Wednesday, May 7th. And course number 45 had a scheduling conflict arise that we couldn't adjust for, so we will postpone that to a future course session. So those are the changes from the printed catalog. The catalog on the website has been updated, so you will see that information there. And also, before we get started, I want to mention our OLLI Talks, formerly known as our members only lectures. We will have 4 of them this session. Those will be on Tuesdays from 3 to 4:30. And you can find that information in the catalogs, but just to go over it quick, on April 8th, we will be learning about building the alliance between the Boone, Hamilton, and Story counties. That'll be online with Eric Smith. On April 22nd, Michael Roof will join us and guide us through Iowa's role in animal health. This will be in person at the Alumni Center and online with Zoom. On May 5th, we will explore opinion polling in the 2024 election, right, wrong, and evolution. And that will be with Max Shelley. That will also be in person and online. And then finally on May 13th, Kelvin Drogmeyer will lead us through an overview of science and technology policy in the United States. That will also be in person and online. And the last little thing I have to say before I turn it over to Luke at Northridge, registration will open this Friday at 8:30 a.m. You're encouraged to register online. That's the most efficient way to get your spot in class. But if you can't do that, you can give me a call or shoot me an email and I will help you. Also, if you have a gift certificate to redeem, make sure you call me. You can't use that online. And all of our instructors, as a thank you for volunteering your time to help us with our lifelong learning, you do get 1 free course credit to use toward a class within a year. So if you want to use that, email me as well. Okay, I think that's all my housekeeping. I tried to get through it as quick as I could, but hopefully you still caught the gist of all of it. And now, Luke, I believe you are with us. You have a few words to share?
I am. I didn't know I'd be first. This is a big honor. So I know sometimes this call can get a little long, so I hope to put some levity in there. But it is Northridge Village. I'm not in heaven. Just wanted to let you all know that. Thank you for letting me do this. It's really a fun thing to be part of. OLLI does a lot of neat things. I can't wait till I get old enough to partake in these classes. So So Northridge Village, we're a senior living community here in Ames on the north side, and we do have all levels of care, independent living, assisted living, memory care, and healthcare, which is short-term rehabilitation and the nurse, more what I guess people would consider the nursing home need. So we're going to be able to cover the majority of all needs when it comes to retirement living and senior living. If you have questions, please reach out. I think the biggest message I can convey to people in the Ames area is start your research early. It is vitally important to get on wait lists before you have a need. You don't want to wait until something happens that causes you to have to make a quick decision and you're not prepared, because then you might have to be in a situation where you go somewhere you weren't planning on, or it's not as convenient and things like that. The nice thing is in Ames, you do have a bunch of different options, especially when it comes to business models. And you can do the research on that. Northridge Village has a very low entry point for money up front. It's very convenient to get into. And then we're a pure rental after that. So you pay month to month, you're not in a long-term contract, and that's for all levels of care. So, if life changes in 8 months unexpectedly for you and your family moves to Arizona and you want to move to Arizona as well, you give us 30-day notice and you can move out. So, again, you're not stuck long-term, which is, I think, a huge benefit. So, I wanted to just share a little bit about us. I think the other thing is memory care. That's another one to research early. If you or someone you love is on the dementia journey, first, my heart goes out to you. It's not an easy journey at all. But if we can help, we'd love to show you around and definitely get on those wait lists pretty early as well, because sometimes dementia can make a drastic change pretty quickly, and you do want to be as prepared as possible.
Thank you so much, Luke, and thank you for your support of the OLLI program. We couldn't do this without you. Okay, and now time for the main event. Carol Veldman-Rudy is with us, and she will get us started off. Carol?
Yes, thank you, Heather. And thank you for the opportunity to be an instructor, a participant in your program. I am doing course number 1 entitled Leningrad Underground Art. It's a 1-week class scheduled for Monday, March 24, from 9 to 10:30 in the morning. A good way to start your morning. And it is an online PowerPoint presentation, so a distance course with discussion to follow the presentation. So a little bit about the class. The question comes, what does an artist do when the official world requires a certain kind of art style in order for that artist to exhibit, to have studio space, and to get art supplies? Well, during the Stalinist era in the Soviet Union, violating style restrictions could actually mean losing one's life. But in spite of that possibility and the lack of supplies, small groups of artists did begin working independently, especially in Leningrad. And so there, in what is really the historic center of Russian art education and quality work, artists and the public understood the importance of experimentation. So after Stalin's death, doing something different artistically became easier. And so this particular presentation is going to explore that kind of different art that arose in the city of Leningrad as groups of nonconformist artists found ways to express themselves and to experiment ways that were different from those approved by the government. The variety of their artwork is really wonderful to explore, as even the public at that time, as well as some of the officials, supported the work and gave exhibition possibilities for it. So if you join this class, and if you join me in this presentation and discussion, You will have a peek behind those official artistic required scenes and into the world of the artists that were working in something different. I'd love to have you part of the class, and thank you for the opportunity to present.
Thank you, Carol. This is Sam Wormley. I'm teaching course number 2 titled Heat Wave, Cause and Survival. This is a one-day class on March 31st at 9 in the morning, 9 to 10:30 in the morning, Central Time, and this is an online only with Zoom. This is important. 2023 was the hottest year on record, and then 2024 was the hottest year on record. The world has just experienced the hottest January ever recorded just last month. At 1.75 degrees above the pre-industrial level. That's 1.75 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level. Scientists warn that if the global warming reaches 2 degrees Celsius, likely to happen by the end of this decade, extreme heat will make 1/3 of the Earth's landmass uninhabitable for people over 60 years old. Sooner or later, you will experience an extended heat wave due to our warming climate. This OLLI class explores the science, the meteorology, the medical treatments, and most importantly, how you can stay cool in high heat and humidity even when the power fails. Gain the skills of staying cool and share that with everybody you know. Okay, course number 3. That's the Apple Watch. The future of health is on your wrist. Again, it's a one-day class on the 7th of April. That's Monday, the 7th of April from 9 to 10:30 in the morning, Zoom only. Apple Watch has powerful apps that make it the ultimate device for healthy life. The watch can support you across multiple aspects of health, including heart health, mobility, fitness activity, medications, and more. The optical heart sensor monitors heart rate and irregular rhythm notifications, AFib history, low cardio fitness notifications, blood oxygen level. The electric heart sensor records ECG in real time and stores a history. And the accelerometer and the gyroscope in the watch detect falls, automatically call 911 if it's needed and you can't, monitors activity, swimming strokes, stairs, steps, and sleep monitoring. As an extension of your iPhone, your Apple Watch can make purchases, give you turn-by-turn navigation instructions, make phone calls, and more. It can even tell you the time. Thank you.
Okay, I think I'm next. I'm Patty Quinless. I'm teaching courses 4 and 5 on addressing dementia and cognitive impairment. I teach courses all over the place, including nationally, on how one can lower their risk of developing dementia in the future. We also have classes at hospitals for people who have already started having some cognitive impairment about how to slow or even reverse the progress of cognitive impairment. And I'll just tell you, the class we had about a year ago, out of the 9 people who came into the class with cognitive impairment, 4 of them improved on their cognitive scores by the end of our class, which is about what the NIH says can happen with cognitive impairment and some of the things that we do. So anyway, over the course of two days, and I believe it's hybrid, just check that, I will be talking about all of the things that science says can make a difference in whether or not you develop dementia, or if you're already having some cognitive issues, whether or not you can reverse them. And I think that's all I've got to say about that.
Okay, thank you, Patty. Gail, you're next.
This is Gail Prince, and this is OLLI course number 6. It will be virtual. and it will relate to confusion around food labels. I know I have many questions on confusion as relates to dating, and that's dating on food labels. And so I was first involved in putting those dates on food packages in September of 1968, and now they appear on about everything. And so I would like to extend to this particular group that we will explain some of the science behind dates on food packages and also give you some practical guidelines on how you can use that in your own pantry and refrigerator and look at the benefits from those dates appearing on particular products. We will also take a look at some of the other claims that you may see on labels and explain the meaning behind the claims and the scientific requirements as relates to the claims that you may see on various food packages. I've been involved in labeling of foods for the past 50 years, and I've seen some ups and downs and a lot of question marks and consumer comments. And so we'd like to put some of these at ease and share with you a background on what these mean and how you can best use them. And so that's OLLI course number 6. Will be 2 weeks starting on April 7 at 11 a.m. And I look forward to seeing your smiling faces on that particular morning. I will not have to coffee. You'll have to bring your own, but we look forward to addressing some of your concerns. I'm also offering OLLI class number 7, which is related to summertime food safety risks, and talking to you about how our risks go up in the summertime, and this is the peak period of time that we see food safety issues as it relates to families and homes come about. Too often it involves small children or the other end of the spectrum as we look at aging adults that may be involved in a foodborne outbreak in a family gathering. And it's very disturbing when some little thing that was done that can cause these things to happen. Medical costs and some of these things can be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it also, if you have visitors outside of your home present, your home insurance is another aspect that we have to think about in those particular cases. As a friend of mine had to do when some family attending a Christmas party became ill from something they'd done in their own home. In the summer, our life changes. What we eat and how we eat changes. And food preparation moves many times from the kitchen in your home to the patio or to a picnic site someplace off-site. And with it brings the opportunity for food contamination. Cooking temperatures and opportunities for cross-contamination are some of the leading causes of that. And so they can make you vulnerable to foodborne illness. So to protect you and your family, we will discuss simple things that you can be aware of and prevent in handling of food in your particular home. So come join us on May 5 and to learn about summertime food safety risks and how we can protect our family with preventative measures. Look forward to seeing you come May 5 and 12 at 11 a.m. for this particular session. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anna McCracken, course 8 and 9, a hybrid course, which will be in person at my 5th Street Writers in downtown Ames or on Zoom. Here's a thought about generative writing, writing inspired by prompts. What is it about putting pen to paper and filling it with meandering thoughts, thoughts that don't need to matter, thoughts that can say something profound, and in the next sentence, something completely stupid? Shedding thoughts through the act of writing words on the page is like going on a diet. Shedding pounds, the body feels lighter. Shedding words, the energy field around you clears. It's like a fog lifts, giving you a sharper vision by which to write. Writing well takes practice, practice such as spilling your thoughts onto a page. Think of it this way. Generative writing is like doing calisthenics, which makes your body stronger. Generative writing will make you a better and more insightful writer. Generative writing helps you to leave perfectionism by the wayside. Whether you write fiction, poetry, or nonfiction, you have to get out of the way in order for your subconscious to surface to the page. Don't believe me? Take my course. This course is for any level of writer, newbie to published, 5 weeks on Mondays from 1 to 3:30 p.m.
Hello, my name's Peter Halleck, and I'm talking about course number 10. It's Early Ames Personalities. It'll meet from 1 to 2:30 on Mondays for 4 weeks, starting April 14th. And it's online only. We'll be looking at the lives of 23 early Ames residents and sort of movers and shakers within the community, people that helped shape Ames the way it is. Just a list of some of the people. I hope this will include some people you've heard of before, but a lot of people that probably you haven't heard much about. This includes Henry McCarthy, Daniel McCarthy, Lucian Hoggett, Sarah Jane Emery, Isaac Black, Cynthia Duff, Henry Kingsbury, Neil Rainbolt, Ben Reed, William Lucas, William West, Hattie Lucas, David Bigelow, Widow McCarthy, or Widow Bradley, I'm sorry, got off the line. Wallace Greeley, Rowena Stevens, General James Rush Lincoln, Parley Sheldon, James Jasper Grove, Tom Rice, Dr. Jenny Grist, and Winifred Tilden. I hope you'll join us and learn some more about these people, and I thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chuck Octor, and I'm teaching course 11, Life in the 1960s. It's a follow from the fall course I taught in Life in the 1950s. It's a 3-week course on Mondays, March 24th, 31st, and April 7th, online from 3 o'clock until 4:30. Tom Brokaw, in his book called Boom, and I quote, said, 1960s America was a turbulent time featuring extreme social changes. The decade brought chaos and challenges to all aspects of American life as the bubble burst on the clean and prosperous 1950s. So during our class, we're going to discuss the leadership and issues of our presidents Kennedy, Johnson, and Nixon and their time in the White House. That includes the Cuban crises, Vietnam, and civil rights and the space race. We'll also look at the countercultural movement. We're going to look at the city and campus unrests, during the decade, and the age of flower power. So I'd like you to bring your lava lamps, your go-go boots, your bell bottoms, and your Beatles 45s with you and join us in this course to discuss life in the 1960s. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. And I believe Steve Larson with Clarity is here with us today. He has a few words to share. Steve?
Yeah, thanks, Heather. I'm Steve Larson. I'm with Clarity Asset Management. We're very happy to be a sponsor for OLLI. I've said before in different sessions like this that one of our values as a company is lifelong and life-wide learning, and being able to promote that not only within our firm, but within the community. And OLLI is an excellent way to be able to do that. Our mission as a business is basically to seek the benefit or the welfare of our community, the city that we live in. So the work that we do of serving you as financial fiduciaries, planning with you to help you achieve your lifelong financial goals, and investing for you in ways that match your values in wise and sustainable ways. So we want to lend our hand to the health of the community, and doing it in ways that build trust and deepen trust in our relationships. We're glad to be able, as I said, sponsor OLLI. I must make a note, though, about the food safety. We recently found a can of evaporated, sweetened condensed milk in our pantry that was had an expiration date of 2011. So I'm just curious as to whether or not we should keep using that or get rid of it. No, just joking. I'm not joking about it. We did find one that was 2011. So I don't know what that causes you to think about me, but we're very frugal. Anyway, thank you very much, Heather. And
Thank you, Steve. And Mike Metz, you're up next.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. And thanks for mentioning community. And that's what I'm here to talk about is I'm one of the instructors of course number 12, which is volunteer community radio, finding your niche in your community through communication. Now we have 3 parts to this course. They will be held on Monday from 1 to 2:30, and that will start on I believe the 15th of April. Those first 2 sessions, we will be presenting those through Zoom. The third session, however, we will be conducting at the KHOI studios, which are located in Old Town at 622 Douglas Avenue in Ames. And staff and volunteers will be introducing you to the history and communication of community radio, what it takes to operate a community radio station, and the importance of radio to our local community and to our citizens. You will learn about program production, conducting an interview, some editing techniques and procedures within the studio to create your own program if you so choose. And we're hoping that through the use of this conversation, through PowerPoint, some volunteer testimonials and sample broadcast segments and real-time examples, you'll have a better appreciation and understanding for what goes on behind community radio and its importance. And you never know, I could maybe use an old funky 8-track that Bob Anders might supply for us. So would really appreciate you signing up and learning more about community radio.
Okay, thank you. I'm Bob Bourne. I hope I'm unmuted. Am I good? Yeah, okay. And the class I'm teaching is 1314, Passenger Trains of Iowa. It's going to be 3 weeks, starting on Tuesday, March 25th, 9 a.m. to 10:30. It's in person and online. On the first day, we're going to start, it's more or less a chronological history of passenger trains. So we'll start in Davenport in 1852. And the first section will be 1852 to 1870. That was the race across Iowa. And then 1870 to 1890 was the intensification of the lines with branch lines and continued expansion. We'll take a little detour into narrow gauge trains, which were really common in Iowa. That's where the distance between the rails is only 3 feet instead of 4 foot, 8.5 like the standard gauge. Then we'll get into wooden cars, the wooden cars that were common, and a little bit about some of the tragedies that happened because of car construction. And then we'll get into the heavyweight cars, steel frame and steel bodies. And then, of course, we have to detour into urban transit. So we'll have some slides on horse cars and street cars of the various systems in Iowa. Day 2, assuming everything's on schedule, we'll do 1900 to 1935 and the rapid expansion and intensification of rail service. Then we'll get into interurbans, the high-speed electric trains that ran throughout the state. And then we'll have a detour on to doodlebugs, the small single gas-powered, usually gas or diesel-powered individual cars. And then I'll talk about railroad stations, the different types of railroad stations. And then day 3, assuming everything is on schedule, we'll do 1935 to the end of passenger service in 1971. And that'll be focusing mostly on the streamliners, which developed in 35 and then kind of morphed into the lightweight trains. And that'll take most of the time. We'll also do a short section on what 24 hours in Ames look like in 1888, 1917, 1935, and 1955. And then we'll kind of sum it up on the end of an era. And then maybe if we have time, we'll go into some of the unique special items that passenger railroads did in Iowa. And with that, I turn it over to number 15.
Hi, I'm Jane Cox, and this is course 1516, taught both in person and online, and has a long title, Governor Samuel Kirkwood and Norman Borlaug representing Iowa in Statuary Hall. And it will be taught on Tuesday, March 25th from 11 to 12:30. So Statuary Hall is in our U.S. Capitol, and every state has 2 life-size bronze or marble statues, and the legislature of that state's allowed to choose what those statues are who those statues are going to represent. So in Iowa, those 2 are Governor Kirkwood and Norman Borlaug. So this course is going to talk a little bit about each one of those 2 rather remarkable men. Governor Kirkwood was governor during the Civil War, and he looked upon all the Iowa boys, as they called them at that time, all the Iowa boys as his sons. And he did everything that he could to help them, even spending much of his fortune outfitting them and buying weapons for them, going down to battlefields after the war, after the battle had taken place, and talking to his boys and trying to reassure them, seeing them in hospitals and asking how they were doing and trying to make sure they had good care. And so he will be the first half of that class. And by the way, happy birthday to Abraham Lincoln, since we're talking about the Civil War. And the other half will be about Norman Borlaug. And you probably have heard of him. He is an agronomist, and both of these 2 men went to country schools. Norman Borlaug got his PhD and then went to do work on grains, largely wheat, and seeing how more wheat could be grown to feed such populations, particularly in Mexico and India and other parts of the country as well. He was awarded the Pulitzer Prize, or not the Pulitzer Prize, sorry, the Nobel Prize. And on that occasion, they said that he had probably saved 1 billion, that's what they said, 1 billion people's lives through his work with wheat. So I hope you'll join me and we'll learn more about these 2 remarkable men. They were remarkable. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Kitchell. I'm going to be giving the courses number 17 and 18. One of them is in person, the other one's online. And the 3 days in April that I'll be talking about the history of healthcare The first go round, we'll talk about the 1700s and 1800s. And we'll talk about germ theory, anesthesia, and surgery. And then in the 1900s, how healthcare insurance began, and employers were paying for that. In World War II, the employer-based insurance really took off. And by the 1960s, there was so much difficulty for elderly people. Medicare began in 1964, and Medicaid also began about that time. In the 1980s, there was a real emphasis on the cost of care and trying to keep things under control. And that's why in the 2000s, healthcare reform and quality measurement was really prevalent, and Medicare for All proposals, we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about Medicare Advantage as well. The second day of the course will be focusing mostly on the healthcare costs. Everybody knows how expensive it is, and we'll talk about the economics, the administrative costs, the unnecessary over-treatment, and we'll talk about how the fee-for-service payment models have really been, they're being replaced by what we call pay for value. So we will have some discussion as well as answer a lot of questions. The last day of the course will be on access to care, and then on influences on health. For example, genetics, the environment, diet, lifestyle, and of course, healthcare access, because not everyone has good access to healthcare. So again, there are 3 days, the history. The next one is on healthcare costs and economics. The last day will be on some of the newer quality measures and ways to keep yourself healthy and pick the right physician who is going to be high quality, hopefully. And you can understand what quality measures and why it's important to pick a high quality provider. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope to see you in April, either in person or online. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alicia Herzog. I am the Iowa Master Gardener Program Manager, and I am representing myself and my colleague that are going to be teaching Course 19, Growing Together Iowa, Donation Gardening, and the Master Gardener Program. My colleague is Katie Sorrell. She can't be here with us today, but she's a registered dietitian with Iowa State University Extension and Outreach, and she oversees food pantry coaching and the donation gardening program called Growing Together Iowa. She has 2 decades of experience with the USDA SNAP Ed funding at ISU, the Department of Public Health, and the University of California, San Diego. So we will be co-presenting on Tuesday, April 15th from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. and our presentation is online only, and we'll be talking about the Growing Together Iowa Donation Gardening Program that empowers local gardeners to offer food pantry clients fresh produce and nutrition education materials. So if you come to our talk, you can discover more about the Master Gardener Program and the charitable food system and how you can get involved. And I would be remiss if I did not mention that I also manage a gardening webinar series called the Home Gardening Webinar Series that is free and open to anyone who is interested. So I will drop that link in the chat. So if anyone is interested in more education, you can also check out that program and then come see us for course number 19 on April 15th.
And I'm Jane again, and this is course 2021, both in person and online. And this is a switch from history, I guess, but this is George Gershwin, Irving Berlin, and the Great American Songbook. And it will be taught in May, lovely word, May 6th and May 13th from 11 to 12:30. And you know, if you thought about probably the most loved composers of the 20th century in terms of American music, who would be better than Irving Berlin and George Gershwin? They both had similar kinds of backgrounds in that both their families were refugees from Russia. They had been persecuted, prosecuted for their religious beliefs. And so they left Russia and came to this country, but nothing, as my grandma used to say, but the shirt on their backs, and sons who became great composers, great composers. Irving Berlin had little to no musical teaching, tutoring of any kind. He taught himself how to play the piano only on the black keys because that was all he could figure out how to do. And he became, wrote such all-American hits really as White Christmas during World War II, Always, which he wrote for his wife on their wedding. God Bless America, which he deeply, deeply felt, all the way back to his first hit, which was Alexander's Ragtime Band. And George Gershwin did have more musical training, and he went on to write a wide variety of music from opera, such as Porgy and Bess, to rhapsodies, Rhapsody in Blue, which is one of the great American pieces, I think, of all times. People love Rhapsody in Blue, down to love songs for the movies, such as They Can't Take That Away From Me. And Irving Berlin wrote his own lyrics. George Gershwin had his brother write his lyrics for him. And so we'll explore these two great American composers, and you won't have to listen to me talk all the time because you're going to listen to music too. So I hope you'll join me then in May. Hope to see you then. Thank you.
And Ramona.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ramona Lucius. I'll be teaching two classes this term. The first, number 2223, Mrs. Satan, the first woman to run for president in 1872, will meet on March 25th at 1 p.m. It's a hybrid class. Victoria Woodhull made history, yet she's seldom remembered today, not because of her lack of achievement, but because of her notoriety. Woodhull was the first woman to own a Wall Street brokerage, the first woman to speak before a congressional committee, one of the first to publish a newspaper, and the first to run for president. And she did it all in the 1870s against a sea of enemies who called her everything from a con artist to a prostitute. Endlessly fascinating, always controversial, Victoria Woodhull should be talked about. She'd want it that way. My second class, number 37, The Big Three of Silent Comedy, meets in person 4 times between March 26th and April 16th at 1 p.m. I'll be introducing 3 filmmaker actors whose works are as fresh and as funny today as they were in the silent era. We'll watch and discuss 1 short and 1 feature film each from Harold Lloyd, Charlie Chaplin, and Buster Keaton. I'll show that silent comedy is about much more than banana peels and cream pies. Thanks for your attention and see you in class.
Okay, Doug.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Doug Biggs, and I am teaching class number 24, Iowa Agricultural College, The Long Years, from 1883 to 1890. It's a 1-week class that meets on Tuesday, April 15th, from 1 to 2:30 p.m., and it is in person at Northridge. This is a deep dive into these 8 years of the history of the college, now Iowa State University. It is a period of conflict, internal conflict, unrest, resistance, rebellion, and violence. One of the underlying currents throughout this entire period is that a number of the faculty, aligned with some strong agricultural interests in the state, thought that the college was drifting away from its principal focus and its principal mission of teaching practical agriculture to teaching what they termed as a broad curriculum, which were things like mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, the ladies' course, which was home economics, history, psychology, and other things. They wanted those broad curricula jettisoned and just focused on practical education. Unfortunately, the majority of the student body did not want to do practical education, and nor did the majority of the faculty. So there's a huge rub here, and it just goes on throughout the entire period. Also, this is a period of instability at the top of the institution. There are 4 presidents in these years, who were weak, usually, and oftentimes tyrannical, that created instability through inconsistent policies. And last, and by no means least, the student body themselves. They rebelled against what they perceived as conflicting and arbitrary behavior on the part of the president. And eventually, this rebellion turned into violent confrontation. And all of these things together were so debilitating to the agricultural college that important agricultural interests in the state and a number of newspapers were openly calling in late 1890 for simply the closure of the institution, to move the chair of agriculture to Iowa City, to either sell the existing buildings or repurpose them. So this is a very difficult period in Iowa State history, and it's a lot of fun, and we'll have a good class and we'll learn a whole bunch of interesting things. So thanks very much for your time.
Okay, I think I'm next. My name is John Dobson. I'm going to give a talk on Oaks Ames and the building of the Transcontinental Railroad. Am I on? Yes. Okay. It meets appropriate enough on April Fool's Day, April 1st, from 3 to 4:30. And it's going to be at the Green Hills Center, which is a good place to have a talk. I taught history at Iowa State for 30 years, lived in Ames for many, many years, and realized that most people don't know who Oaks Ames is, for which the city is named. In 1862, 1864, they were building a railroad across Iowa, and the builder of that railroad knew that Oaks Ames was a very important, influential congressman from Massachusetts. And although Oaks Ames never came to Iowa, never came to Ames, this fellow decided to name one of his station stops after Ames. Ames became very, very prominent later on. He's one of the main people behind the building of the Transcontinental Railroad. So my talk is going to look at both the man, Oaks Ames, and his role in building the railroad, and in the process, talking about the railroad itself. I'm going to cover 4 major topics. One is how they selected the route. It makes logical sense to build the Transcontinental Railroad across the continent right in the middle, but that's not what everybody thought earlier or later, that was the best idea. So there's a lot of politics and emotionalism that went into picking the route. The second part of my talk is going to talk about the people who actually did the building, including Grenville Dodge, who was a general, Civil War general, who was very, very instrumental in the actual technical building of the road. But there are a lot of scoundrels associated with the financing and other aspects of it. A third part of the talk, I'm going to look a little bit at the construction of the road. It's not nearly as dramatic or exciting as the building of the road up from Sacramento into the mountains, but there are a lot of problems, engineering problems and so on, that had to be solved. So I'll talk about that a little bit too. The most important part of the talk, though, is about Oaks Ames, who was the financier. He's the guy that collected all the money, and he made it work. He was very, very influential. He and his brother Oliver Ames at one point served as president of the railroad, and so they are very instrumental in getting the thing done. Nevertheless, Oaks Ames ended his career in a very, very unfortunate way. He was censured by Congress. He had to go home to Massachusetts. So the focus of the last part of the story is on what happened to Oaks Ames. And we'll have to decide whether he was truly a hero of the railroad building, or some kind of a scoundrel, or somewhere in between. So that's the purpose of the talk. Again, April Fool's Day. It should be fun. See you then.
Thank you,
And
Chuck.
oh, sorry, Phyllis, I need to interrupt. We got off schedule a little bit. Dawn from Northcrest is with us today and she has some words to share. And then you can go, Phyllis.
Thank you. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Heather. I'm Dawn Borwig. I'm the CEO of Northcrest Community, and just want to thank you for all attending today. I've been listening to all of the course outlines. It sounds amazing. There is so many things to pique our interest. You know, we're very proud to be an OLLI sponsor and to support this program. You know, one of the things, as I was thinking about a few comments for today, I look outside and I see all the snow. And one of the biggest benefits, or one of the many, many benefits of coming to Northcrest Community is you don't have to shovel that snow anymore. So today is a very fitting day to be talking about the benefits of Northcrest. But really what I wanted to focus on just real briefly is the not-for-profit difference that really truly makes a difference. And we are proud that Northcrest Community is the only locally owned not-for-profit life care community in Ames. And as a not-for-profit senior living community, we reinvest in Northcrest. Which benefits the people who live here with more amenities, better services, great staff, and a higher quality of life. And moreover, because we are locally owned and operated, we are not beholden to outside corporate interests. And Northcrest, if you haven't heard or don't know, we are governed by a local board of directors. And I would welcome you to check out our website and check out who is on our board of directors. We have a great, diverse group of leaders for our community. But compared to many for-profit communities whose sole focus is benefiting owners, investors, or shareholders, we are committed to the greater good of our residents and the local community. So if the person you're working with is receiving a commission for you to join their community, I would say you need to take a second look and make sure you're in the right place. Our staff is looking out for your best interest and not their paycheck. But perhaps more importantly is, as a not-for-profit, we are able to offer that life care contract. And this contract provides financial security, guarantees independent living, and a full continuum of care at our campus. So I agree with what Luke said at the start of this program is start looking early. A lot of places have wait lists, and it's best to start looking earlier and come join us early. Come enjoy the benefits of living at a really active, fulfilling community. So if you have interest at all, please reach out to us for a tour and just to learn more. We are a no pressure, no hassle community. We would just love to share Northcrest with you. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your previews.
Thank you, Dawn. Welcome, benvenuto. My name is Phyllis Light. I'm thrilled to be teaching another Italian cooking course online for OLLI on Tuesday, April 15th from 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. The title of the course is Authentic Italian Home Cooking, Spring into Simple and Delicious. The course ID number is 26. Authentic Italian home cooking will bring you right into the heart of Italy. We will gather around some of the finest traditional Italian foods from the regions of Tuscany to Parma to Lombardy. These recipes will not disappoint. They have been time-tested and handed down for generations. My cooking philosophy is this: to make delicious food that you will want to eat over and over again. To offer recipes that are easy to prepare without a lot of steps and cleanup, and never to use ingredients that you cannot find at the local supermarket. Don't worry if you are new to cooking. We will cover each recipe step by step, so by the time we finish, you will be able to create an authentic Italian meal with confidence, ease, and joy.
I love sharing recipes and new ideas, so be sure to bring some along if you like. Again, the title of the course is Authentic Italian Home Cooking, Spring into Simple and Delicious. The course ID number is 26. It'll be held on Tuesday, April 15th from 3 to 4:30 p.m. And I just want to say one thing to Steve Larson. I would throw that can out. After 2 years, it can become rancid. And if you open the can, you'll notice that creamy color turns to a yellow brown, and it's really hard on the bottom. So toss it. I would like to thank everyone who makes this program possible. Buon appetito. Ciao.
Yeah. It is
Thank you. Thank you, Phyllis. Jennifer Margaret could not be with us today. She will be teaching the next hybrid class, number 27 and 28, The Gift of Aging. And this will be 3 weeks on Tuesdays, March 25th through April 8th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. That's right, it is an evening class. So join us for The Gift of Aging on Tuesdays in March and April. John, you are next.
Thank you, Heather. My name is John Close. I'm a financial advisor and certified financial planner here in Ames. I'm teaching course number 29, which is titled Financial Planning in Later Life. This will be a 4-week course and will be held on Wednesdays beginning March 26th, finishing up on April 16th. And these will be held from 9 to 10:30 a.m. on those Wednesdays. And this will be offered via hybrid. So join us in person or online, whatever's best for you. As a financial planner, I spend a lot of my time and conversations surrounding this idea of retirement. I almost put retirement in quotes because it means something different for everyone. But the moment somebody retires, we really have a whole slew of new things to consider during those later years in retirement. And those needs are constantly evolving, and the questions I'm being asked are always changing. And so my hope and objective is to bring some of those most common themes that we're seeing and most common questions that we're receiving to these classes. These will be wide-ranging topics. I'll do my best to simplify or to put these in their own silos, but of course they are all intertwined. And these topics consist of income planning in retirement. With everything being so expensive these days, how are we planning for those at higher cost? How are we planning for healthcare cost? On the investment side, how are we planning to mitigate the risks that have always existed out there? What type of IRA strategies are we using and are we seeing available these days? And that leads right into estate planning. Now, estate planning can be a big, wide-ranging, scary topic. You start to think about wills and trust and POAs and attorneys, and it just makes you want to take a nap. It's just overwhelming. So we'll do our best to stay on a high level, especially on the estate planning side. But the reason estate planning is so impactful is that we are experiencing what's known as the Great Wealth Transfer. I think the number between the silent generation and baby boomers, we're going to anticipate about $84 trillion going from one generation to the next over the coming decade. And as a result, we want to ensure that as we pass wealth on, that we have good stewards ready to take good care of that. And if not, how do we need to adjust? And really the overarching thing that's going to tie into about everything we talk about is taxes. Yet another very exciting topic that'll just make you want to do something else, but it is very impactful when we talk about expenses, when we talk about investing, when we talk about estate planning. So I look forward to seeing you all there. Bring your questions, bring some coffee, and we'll have a good time. Thank you.
Okay, Bob Anders, you're next. Make sure you
Yes,
unmute.
hello,
Perfect.
everyone. My course ID is 3132. It's in person and online. The title of my course is Postal Collage Art. I've been retired for 10 years. I'm a collage artist, but the US Post Office is my gallery. Most everything I make, I send out in the mail. I'm not an artist who makes beautiful pieces of art and they stack up in the corner or in the basement. I send what I make to my friends and fellow artists. And believe it or not, I get a lot of amazing mail back in return. I'm going to discuss materials. I'm going to discuss techniques. I'm going to discuss one thing I do is I make repurposed envelopes. This is your typical safety envelope. I cut them and turn them inside out and put a collage picture in the window and fill it with detritus, which is a word that we're going to hear in my class. I'm going to talk about mailing photographs. This might be a photograph of someone you know, or it might be a photograph of yourself. I'm going to talk about postal compliant size and weight, which are very important when you're mailing stuff. Don't think that the post office is gouging you. Postcard is 58 cents. A regular 1 ounce mail is 73 cents. But try to take this letter, this missive that you want to deliver to your dear friend, your relative, try to drive it to their home safely in Pasadena, California for 53 cents. It just can't be done. And also receiving fun mail and artistic mail is a most delightful thing. I make a lot of postal art from what we would call recycled packaging. And this type of postal art is great fun. It's just a remarkable thing. It's given me a number of years of delight and joy. My program is hybrid. It's online and in person. The date is Wednesday, May 7th at 9 o'clock in the morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. And Jeff Schrader was not able to be with us today. He will be teaching his normal What in the World course. And this time it is number 33 and 34. This will be 3 weeks on Wednesdays, April 2nd through 16th from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And it will be hybrid. So it will be in the building at the Alumni Center and online. And Ron Palumbo, you are up next.
Well, thank you very much, Heather. Okay, my name's Ron Palumbo, and I'll be offering 2 classes, both single session PowerPoint presentations. The first one is class number 35, Gatsby at 100, the author and his book. When The Great Gatsby first appeared in October 1925, it was the 4th novel by a successful popular author. This presentation attempts to answer some key questions about this book and its author. First question, who was Scott Fitzgerald, and why was this particular writer identified early on as the representative voice of the Jazz Age generation of 1920s America? Second question, how did this lapsed Irish Catholic from St. Paul come to write what is now one of the most widely read of all American novels? Third, why was this novel a flop when it was published? And what happened to Fitzgerald's career afterwards? Our final, and to my mind most interesting question is, how did Gatsby go from a failure quickly forgotten in the 1920s to being hailed as an American classic in the 1960s? So if you're interested in this book and its author, I think you might find that this class offers some, well, not answers, but some possibilities to consider as answers to these questions. So if you're interested, please join me at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, May 7th to learn more about The Great Gatsby at 100 years on. Okay. So my other class is class number 36, Fitzgerald and Hemingway, Friends and Rivals. When they first met in Paris in 1925, F. Scott Fitzgerald was a successful writer who had just published his first novel, The Great Gatsby. You just heard about that. Ernest Hemingway, on the other hand, was a lowly journalist scratching out a living who had only a few Paris-printed verses and a 32-page book in our time, that's the title, a 32-page book to his name. In the beginning of this relationship, Fitzgerald was the most recent in a succession of mentors to this aspiring newspaper man. Fitzgerald reshaped Hemingway's manuscript of his first novel, having him drop the first 17 pages altogether, reshaped what was left of the manuscript, recommended Hemingway's work to his own publisher, Scribner's, a very powerful publishing house at that time, and also introduced Hemingway to other established writers. Now, that novel, The Sun Also Rises, was so popular that Hemingway's fame grew as Fitzgerald's faded. And the relationship, as a result, became more torturous and complex. So, if you have a taste for the highest level of literary gossip, I think you will find this tale of our two most famous authors to be an enlightening view of the costs of fame, friendship, and estrangement. So consider joining me for class number 36, a single session PowerPoint presentation to be given at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, May 14th. Thank you.
And Ramona already told us about class 37, so we will jump to class 38 with Cassie, if she is still with us.
Hey, I'm Casey Vance. My course number is 38, Behind the Scenes at the Expanded Ames History Museum. It will be on Wednesday, May 7th at 1 p.m. in person at the museum in downtown Ames. We recently completed a $4 million expansion and renovation project, reopening in October 2024. So this course includes a behind-the-scenes look at the process, planning over the past 7 years, feasibility studies, fundraising, and the design build process for the museum. And after hearing about how it all came together, you can tour the completed museum, including restored spaces in the Ames Pantorium building, sources available in our reading and research room, a closer look at unique Ames artifacts in the collections vault, and our 2 new exhibit galleries. And there will be plenty of time to browse current exhibits, Ames from Prairie to Present, and Quilted Together. Thanks for your time today, and we hope to see you at the museum soon.
Thank you, Casey. And I believe Kylie from Green Hills is here. They are our final sponsor with us today. So Kylie, if you could share some words.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bailey. I'm the marketing director at Green Hills, and this is Kylie. And if you're in the Ames area, I know you're experiencing the winter with the rest of us. Tonight here at Green Hills, we're actually hosting a fun, it's our winter event, but it's a cruise party. So we are all in tropical gear getting our large community room set up for a fun party tonight. The snow can't drag us down over here at Green Hills. But just some updates from our community. We are expanding. If some of you have been on the calls I've been on before, we're almost 3/4 of the way done with our Maples expansion, and that's adding 20 new independent living apartment homes to our community. So currently we have 163 independent living homes, and we'll be adding 20 more. So we'll have about 183 of those available. There's just 2 apartments left in that building. So if you're interested in a spring or summer move in a brand new apartment home that's custom, let us know. We have some fun options left. We have a 2-bedroom and then a large 2-bedroom with an office. And I agree with all of the other communities that were on here. Make sure to start your shopping early to figure out what business model you're interested in. Like the others, we are different. We are equity owned, so you do become a resident owner, and then you'd have a monthly fee associated with all of the great services and amenities that we provide to our residents. So if you're interested in information, feel free to give us a call at 515-357-5000, or you're welcome to email me, BaileyS@greenhillsrc.com, and we can set up a time to visit. If you're here during the winter and you want to see a winter wonderland, feel free to come on over, or we can set up a time in the next couple weeks when hopefully the weather is a little bit better. Thank you so much, Heather, and have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, Kaylee and Kylie. This is Andrea Dorn. I'm teaching course number 39, Cat Care 101. it's going to be 1 week, May 5th, 14th, at 1 to 2:30 Central Time, obviously, at the Northridge Village in person. And basically, we're going to be talking about cats and how to care for them. If you think about it, cats can live 17 or more years, so it's important to take good care of them. I personally have had cats, several cats over 20 years of age before they died. So, and I'm a veterinary technician, but I'm not a veterinarian, so I can't give you health advice, but I can't diagnose, but I can give you advice, and we'll talk about all sorts of things as far as taking care of your cats. So be sure and bring your questions. Anything you want to talk about with cats, I'm glad to talk about it. Thanks.
Okay, Mike Coview, are you present?
Yes. You can't see me very well. I don't know what's going on with my camera, but all of a sudden I'm not hiding, not intentionally anyway. I'm Mike Coview, and I will be teaching courses 40 and 41, Numbers in the News. This is a hybrid course meeting from 3 to 4:30 p.m. on the 4 Wednesdays from March 26th through April 16th. The in-person course will meet at the ISU Alumni Center. My interest in the presentation of numbers in news stories is longstanding. In the early 1980s, I had been interviewed for a story about trends in reported crime in Iowa. I complained to a colleague about how twisted the interpretation of the data I had provided had ended up in the printed article. The reply of my coworker was spot on. Mike, isn't it amazing how much reporters know as long as they are writing about something you don't know much about, and how little they seem to understand when they write about something about which you are well informed? The use of numbers is both a powerful tool in conveying information and in communicating misleading information. In particular, numbers can lead us to believe that news is being presented completely and objectively when it is not, but numbers are often indispensable in conveying news effectively. This course is about identifying things to think about when presented with numbers in news stories and using these considerations to evaluate the accuracy of these stories. Look.
Okay, thank you, Mike. I'm assuming you were done?
Yeah, yes, I'm sorry,
Okay.
I should have said so. Oh, one thing I would say is anybody who wants to sign up for the course, I'd really like to see you, but I'd really like to see some of you in person.
Thanks. Okay, Lee, you are up.
Thanks, Heather. Lee Tisdale here from rural Slater, just about 12 miles south of campus. My course is number 42, Conservation Strategies for Landowners. The audience is really anyone who owns some farmland, but others are welcome, of course, too. I am a retired professor from Minnesota State Mankato, where I taught courses in technical communication. My doctorate is from Iowa State. And my farm, my Century Farm, is located in northern Polk County, even though my address is Slater. Some of you folks know all about that, right? Rural addresses, right? Another photograph of my guard llama here. That's Lenny, and we might get to meet Lenny on the second class meeting when you come out to my farm. He takes care of my ewes, theoretically chases the coyotes away. The course is meeting twice. It's a hybrid or a blended course. So May 7th from 3 to 4:30 p.m. we'll meet online. And then May 14th, 3 to 4:30 p.m. We'll meet out here at the farm, and we'll look at the conservation practices that we had discussed on the first class. The conservation practices I'm referring to are infield and edge of field. Infield would include no-till and cover cropping, and edge of field would include prairie strips, buffer strips, bioreactors, and saturated buffers and such. So many of us are only 1 or 2 generations off the farm, and many of us still own an 80 or a quarter, maybe, around somewhere in the upper Midwest. And I hope to have a robust discussion with you about conservation. And thank you very much.
Thank you, John. I'm glad you're coyote free. This is Sam Wormley again. Course number 43 is Learning iPads and iPhones. It's 8 weeks. In fact, this is probably the last 8-week course that we're going to offer in the OLLI program. It will meet on Thursdays, March 27th through the 15th of May at 9 in the morning, 9 to 10:30 a.m. This is a Zoom-only class. Apple iPhone and iPad are designed and developed by Apple with security and privacy at their core. First introduced in 2007, 2007, and 2010 respectively, they revolutionized the mobile industry with their touchscreen interfaces, app store ecosystems, and seamless hardware-software integration. Our grandkids can pick up these devices and magically learn how to use them in short order. And that's a bit harder for us. So this OLLI course is designed to show you some of the basics and the details to help you be safe, secure, efficient, and hassle-free. We will include navigating the iPhones and iPads, making life easier, contacts and connections, books and media, word processing and accessibility, security and maintenance, backup, storage and sharing, and keeping learning. But most importantly, we will address your questions and your needs. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Barbara Pleasance. I'm teaching course number 44, Isms in the News, Thursdays from 11 to 12:30 from March 27th to April 24th. That's 5 weeks, and it's Zoom only. Well, I first proposed this course when terms like fascism and populism were appearing in the news prior to the election. And when I proposed it, I wasn't sure how relevant some of these topics were going to be. Well, no big surprise, after the election, they're suddenly quite important and have been appearing daily, many of them in our news sources, and are very concerning. So, for example, Christian nationalism, which we've heard about for a number of years, has been increasing in its influence, a lot of states and a lot of education systems. And now we have some major figures in the administration who are advocates for Christian nationalism and are following the blueprint of Project 2025. There are other topics that we're seeing lately, like oligarchy and authoritarianism, and they're no longer just of academic interest. Now, I will speak some about the history of many of these, but it's becoming increasingly clear that these are of current concern. For example, just today on Point, if anyone was listening this morning, the topic was, are we in a constitutional crisis? And who knows what's going to be happening by the time this course starts in March. But certainly every day, there's all sorts of articles in my news sources, meaning the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Atlantic, and so on. And I have a plethora of information. So I'm hoping the class will help all of us sort out what's going on, give us some historical perspective, and let us think about what's going on and how concerned we all should be. So thank you all. And I hope to see some of you in March.
And as a reminder, the next class, number 45, came into a scheduling conflict and will be offered in a later course session. And so now I will turn it back to the Pleasants so we can hear from John.
Hello, I'm John Pleasance. That was Barbara Pleasance.
And getting out of the way.
So I'm teaching a course called Ethical Eating. It's Thursdays, 1 to 2:30 in person, starting March 27th and going to April 24th. So five sessions. So I think all of us, particularly at our age, are considerate of what our food choices are. I mean, we're too old now to sit down in front of the TV and eat a whole bag of Doritos. So we think about what we eat. We think about nutritional value, and we're also conscious of the economics of what we're eating. Eggs are very expensive now. So what this course tries to do is sort of expand our sphere of consideration when we make food choices beyond just ourselves and what our needs and interests are to so what's behind these foods that we're eating. So foods don't just magically appear on our table or in our grocery stores. Some person put it there. Somebody grew that corn or whatever it is. Somebody transported it. It was processed. If comes from in a restaurant, there was somebody working in the back room cooking it. So there's a lot of people behind any particular food we are choosing to eat. So we can expand our sphere of consideration to those people and ask questions about, do we have any responsibility for what their lives are like? And what would that responsibility be? How would we manifest that responsibility? And then we can expand our sphere of consideration even further. If we're eating animal products, then we can think about the animals that are being raised to produce that food. What conditions are they being raised in? Are there some concerns about those conditions? Are there concerns about animal welfare? Do animals have rights? So these are some of the things we'll talk about, and then we can expand this even further to the environment. So anything that we eat has to be grown somehow, and so we can think about, what do we owe the environment? What are our moral responsibilities to the environment? So I'm hoping we can all get together and talk about these things, and look forward to seeing you.
And Charles?
Hi there. Charles Knecker. I'm teaching courses, 47, 48. That's hybrid and online. It's based on a book called Reading America, Building a More Perfect Union. It will be a 4-session course offered on Thursdays, beginning April the 3rd. And the last one will be May 1st. There will be no class on April 24th. And it'll be from 3 to 4:30 p.m. Now, if you're concerned about where American democracy is today, maybe you and your family or friends and colleagues are debating whether we're going in the right direction or not. And as previously heard, are we moving toward an oligarchy? Are we actually on the verge of that constitutional crisis? But the thing that we emphasize in the class is, what do we do about it? Because it was started as a OLLI class about 3 or 4 years ago and offered several times because of popularity. And again, we had people saying we can't get along in our families anymore, or we can't talk to our friends anymore. So here's the book. It's come now out in a book form, produced here in Ames. It's now in its 2nd printing already. There are 7 different contributors. One of them, Diane Pritchard, lives in DeWitt, Iowa, former high school teacher, and she's very practical. She will join us from time to time as we talk about what can we do, because we don't want everybody to agree. That's not the point, to have everybody agree, but can we find something common to do? And that's where the title came from, Raising America. If you remember the old image of neighbors getting together to raise a barn for maybe a newcomer. Again, we were really urged to make the book, and that's why it is our textbook, because the Harvard professor said, democracy won't thrive if people don't talk together and work together. And so he said, you write the book, I'll give you a blurb for it. And in fact, one reviewer has said now, this book ought to be in every library and public school in the country. So we feel pretty good about that. But again, we'll use it, and we'll look forward to seeing you.
Thank you, Charles. And Layson was not able to be with us today. She will be wrapping us up with course number 49, Chair Yoga. And this will be offered for 4 weeks on Thursdays, April 24th through May 15th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And this will be online with Zoom. And so that brings us to the end of our courses and everything that we're offering. And just a real quick recap, there were some scheduling changes to some of the courses. Course number 4 and 5, Addressing Dementia and Cognitive Impairment, will now be on Monday, May 5th. Course number 31-32, Postal Art Collage, will now be on Wednesday, May 7th. And those are different than what's in the printed catalog. And course number 45 will be postponed to a future session. So I want to thank everyone for being here today and for our sponsors that helped provide time and space for this event. And we will open it up for a short Q&A session. So if you have any questions about any of the courses, you can either put it in the chat and I will read it for you, or you can unmute and ask the instructors directly. Are there any questions?
I have one. The Isms in the News class that starts March 27th to April 24th. What's the time on that?
11 to 12:30.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Kind of a silly one, and that is, since Sam is offering the last 8-week class, are we going to get a prize at the end of it?
You're going to gain the prize of knowing so much new knowledge. You're just going to love it.
I thought maybe you'd give us a free watch or something, Sam.
Andrea, there's a question for you. Will there be discussion of senior cats' needs during your course? Oh, looks like maybe she is no longer with us on the call. So sorry, Ramona, I can get you an answer for that though. I'll send her an email. Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Well, again, thank you for being here today. I'm super excited for classes to get started. And remember, registration opens Friday morning on Valentine's Day. Yes, I know, bad timing. But this Friday, February 14th at 8:30 in the morning, online registration will open. So I will look for all your names to come across my desk. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to email or call me at any time, and I will get you your answer as best as I can. So thank you again for being here, and I hope you all stay warm and cozy inside your homes. And if you do have to go out, please, please, please be careful. Have a good evening, everybody.